What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense. And before we say anything, who rocked this look better, Terrance or Diddy? You could just put it in the comments section. It's a toss-up. Anyway, on a real note, we got some positive information on Justin Bieber. I see a lot of the people who talk about him kind of use him as a tool to take down Diddy without actually realizing that what may or may not have happened would have happened when he was a child. So we got to be cognizant of that when we talk about him. But regardless, we got some positive news about Bieber, and we got some normal news about Diddy. Like the video's intro plays, we got a lot to get into.
Make it make sense.
Make that make sense.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense to me intellectually.
Make it make sense. You know what was up.
No way to the whole donkey. No way. Big moves. Surfer. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
Three, get up off fucking dicks. Okay. And that's what I had to do. Because I was stuck up on the dick, drugs, and dick for 10 years of my life. And I didn't know anything else but dick. And I was just living for dick and dick and dope. And so I had to, one day I got...
Okay, guys. So Terrence Howard just did this interview. We got to talk about it. I don't think it's gonna come as a shocker to anybody.
Short life in
why do you think that is? What the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far. You know, who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. You know, but when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it. A man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood,
Is he talking about, well, I know what he's talking about in terms of men, but in terms of women, is he talking about if you choose to term a pregnancy, or is he saying people who don't have children or choose not to, utilize their womb for making a baby? That I'm a little lost on, but I know exactly what he's talking about in terms of for dudes. Keep in mind, Terrence is a little bit, out there. So
I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You should have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there, because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guy struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that.
Here we go. Bieber is always used as a tool. Now, he clearly said a man. Bieber was not a man when any of this allegedly could have happened to him. So again, it's the concept that this person who none of us actually really know what happened to and what he could be struggling with is now thrown into a conversation, even though he would have not been an adult at the time. And I don't know if that's fair. And I don't know if my contemporaries who talk about him like a tool to take down Diddy, if that's fair without truly acknowledging if something happened, it happened when he was a kid. What was a 15, 14-year-old? What is that, like ninth grade?
You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process, I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place. What benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500.
I mean, although what he's saying, he's only applying it to Hollywood, there are almost religious undertones to what he's saying without actually acknowledging that there are religious undertones. I don't really know what his faith is. Some people say he, believes in aliens and all kinds of stuff. Who knows? I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the Catholic in me. I don't believe that a sex worker has lost their soul. I mean, I believe anybody can repent, I guess. And maybe that's my belief. I know everybody does not believe in the same things. And I know my channel is a shared space, but this conversation was extremely deep to me, more so than just Puffy trying to F me, which we're going to get to in a second. But I'm curious to know how you guys are perceiving this. Because I know a lot of my subscribers are faith-based subscribers, and a lot are not. It's the good thing about this channel. So like and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're not, definitely hit the like button. It's a free way to support the channel.
100 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh.
Now, here's the thing. What he's not saying is it's actually a form of grooming. And we saw it with The Game. And remember, The Game will never acknowledge anything that goes on between him and Diddy other than he never saw anything. But he does acknowledge he was around Diddy for 2 years consistently and never made any music, even though he was an upstart rapper, right? What Terrance just described is grooming. I'm going to get you in under some false, we'll say circumstance. I want you to help me with acting. He didn't give a time frame, but I would imagine this might have been when he was at his top, which would have been when he was on Fox. But regardless, this man is basically saying, come and teach me how to act. And there is no acting coaching going on. And now it's come to a party with me. That is definitely grooming. It's testing the waters, and it's doing it under false pretenses. He just described Diddy trying to groom him.
Okay, now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman.
He just described what Little Rod went through. It was Stevie J. It was Cuba Gooding Jr. coming to him. He is describing what people have described in their lawsuits.
When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast. This is absolutely. But listen, we've talked about it. We've had a lot of the guys on to talk about this stuff. Are you done with Hollywood? Because
no,
of this
I mean, I'm
reason?
still working. I still, you know,
now whatever his beliefs are, I do believe him when he says he was, or Diddy attempted to groom him. I totally believe that. And the way that he just broke it down sounds absolutely plausible. The difference is when you talk about like The Game or Meek Mills or any of these people who are adults, I do think it's fair game. I just think by the interviewer throwing out Justin Bieber, I feel like it was kind of cheap. Shout out to them. Check out the whole interview. It's 2 hours. Terrence Howard isn't necessarily an interview that I would, watch for 2 hours, but some people, might be captivated after this. So the name of the podcast is PBD Podcast. I think it's like a 2-hour interview. It's doing really well. So check it out. I will link it in the description. But let's move on to Justin. So like I said, I feel like a lot of people, sometimes it feels really cheap. Everybody knows that Scooter Braun and Usher discovered him at a very young age. Justin was not a kid with means, and definitely there were issues in the home. However, under the tutelage of the machine that was Usher and Scooter Braun, he became a megastar. Later in life, we're seeing that there might be some cracks, but I just don't think that he gets a fair rap because, again, he's not a Meek Mill who came into a friendship relationship with Diddy as an adult. This was a kid. So very rarely do we have good news to report on Justin, but I think this qualifies. So Justin posted this a few days ago, and the symbolism is not lost. Let's check it out. I'm not going to play the music because I don't have permission to do so, but he's riding a scooter into a house. We all know I love a hoodie. Everything seems, normal, animation, right? But Drew is his clothing line. Drew's floating. I don't know if Drew's floating in a pool. I don't know if, the teddy bear constitutes some form of youth. I'm assuming that it does, but he's being held afloat by this clothing brand, Drew, that he is co-partner in. We see some matches. And he sets the house on fire. So there's a lot of metaphors in this video, but I'm assuming that he rode a scooter. Manager was Scooter Braun. He rode a scooter to a house that was built by Scooter and Usher with the clothing brand that he was partners with. I think the man's name is like Ryan Good. Interesting name. That he was partners with, and he sets it on fire. Grabs his wife, his kid, and they move into a new space. This is not even thinly veiled. This is not thinly veiled. What most people don't know is they're like, okay, well, maybe he's just introducing a new clothing brand. That he is. Shout out to him for doing that. But he's doing a new clothing brand that has no affiliations or ties to Usher. What most people don't know is Usher introduced him to Ryan Good. Specifically, Usher felt like he needed the relationship with Ryan Good, so that it would be a good influence and to help guide him in the industry. So Usher, a man that we all know the story. We don't have to go through it. Whatever happened with Usher and Diddy at this flavor camp, again, nobody technically really knows, but we do know that Usher sent his new artist to Diddy as well to go to the said flavor camp and whatever happens at these flavor camps. So at the least, we know Usher said he wouldn't send his kids, but you were fine with sending somebody else's child to Diddy. These are things that we already know. What I got out of this video that that Justin posted was, I see it. I see it, and I'm removing it from my life. Now, again, we don't technically really know what went on and what did not go on, but what we do know is Justin left his longtime manager, Scooter Braun, in 2023. And now he's cutting that last affiliation to Usher with the introduction of his new clothing brand and setting the old one on fire, which was in place in part due to Usher, since Usher introduced him and Usher turned Ryan Good into his, I believe, like tour manager as well. From an outside perspective, I feel like people in the industry who produce a Usher or produce Justin, they keep handlers around them to keep tabs and keep checks on them. So I would not, and this is just my opinion, I would not be surprised if that man was put in place and his reward for being put in place by Usher was to be able to have a major brand alongside a megastar. So if somebody like Usher puts you on, and we know that Usher's morals and scruples aren't necessarily there for other people's children like they are for his own, who's to say that this man was not indebted to Usher for the business relationships that Usher curated for him? It's so deep, guys. This is, in my opinion, it's no longer just salacious story. It's real people's story. It's things that actually impact these real people's lives. And I'm here to tell you that all the money and celebrity in the world don't amount to much if you are not in a whole place. And I see so many headlines about Justin, but very rarely do I see headlines where at least he's taking some steps to be made whole. A new family, ending very lucrative business relationships. Everybody might see some broken soul, but I'm seeing somebody who is working through whatever they need to work through to be made whole again. And I love it. And I'm going to keep reporting on it. Shout out to him for removing himself. I mean, although he's still a megastar, anybody building a new brand, it's difficult to say the least. So cutting some of these financial ties, Scooter Braun is extremely wealthy now. Scooter Braun is extremely powerful now in the industry. Kudos to Justin for doing what he needs to do to be a full, whole person. We may not ever actually know what occurred, if anything, with the Usher and the Diddy stuff, but shout out to him for doing the work. Last thing, what the hell is going on with everybody involved in Diddy's stuff? Dylan, who, no offense, I don't think he ever should have been in the band. Like, that was my MTV years. I watched every episode of the band, every episode of Making the Band with the band, Danny DeCane, and Day 26. I knew all these people. I never felt like Dylan should belong. But anyway, Dylan got arrested for strangulation. It looks like life has been hard. But anyway, I got to run. Thank you guys for being here. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. If you are not new to the channel, hit that like button. And if anything else pops off, I will see you guys later. Have a good one.